Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. So we are continuing with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, chapter number 15, The Pandavas Retire Timely. Last class we had completed half of the chapter, so we'll do the remaining part today. Verse number 27. Desha kalartha yuktani hrita tapopashmani cha haranti smaratas govindabhihitani me. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Now I am attracted to those instructions imparted to me by the personality of Godhead, Govinda, because they are impregnated with instructions for relieving the burning heart in all circumstances of time and space. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So far in this chapter we see, of course, this whole chapter is going to, towards the end, show us how the Pandavas, they retire, in a very timely manner. In the remaining part of this chapter, we'll also see how Arjuna, he was able to get solace, even though it was a very critical time. Krishna had already disappeared and he was in mental agony, So he wanted liberation from that feeling, that emotion. Now, we all want liberation, right? And Bhagavad Gita has given us the answer. Whereas Srimad Bhagavatam, it gives us further enlightenment, The teachings that we learned in Bhagavad Gita was high school level, and now we are doing the graduate level. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna taught us how to surrender, how to use everything in his service. Yat karoshi, yat ashnashi, yat juhoshi, dadashi. Krishna says, whatever you do it as an offering unto me. Why? Because this will lead to purification of the heart, and that will be the perfection of life. So here, up till now, we heard that Arjuna, he is very grief-stricken, right? Because Krishna has gone back to his abode, and when Yudhishthira Maharaj was inquiring from him about Dwaraka and Krishna and the Yadus, he was shedding tears. His eyes were smeared with tears. He was in great distress. He was very sad. And so he started remembering Krishna and his instructions, you see. And we learned till verse number 27, excuse me, that Arjuna was remembering that it was because of Krishna that I was powerful. It was because of Krishna I was able to win the battle. And he started remembering all the pastimes of Krishna and realized without Krishna's help, I could not have won the battle at Kurukshetra. And then he even informed Yudhishthira Maharaj that all the Yadus, they were cursed by Brahmanas. And in the process, it was Krishna's arrangement to send them back to the spiritual abode. You see, this was Krishna's will. This is what Krishna wanted. So here we see Sutta Goswami, he's saying that Arjuna's mind was pacified just thinking about Krishna, his instructions, his lotus feet, and then he became free from all material contamination. You see, deep meditation on Krishna is actually called yoga. That is how we connect. Yoga means connection with the Supreme. And when we meditate on the instructions of the Supreme Lord, that can remove all the contamination from our heart. You see, Krishna's appearance in the mind, that's the only way that can remove miseries. We can understand that everyone in this material world has some form of misery. So, how to get rid of that? Best is to have Krishna in the mind. And the easiest process for us in Kali Yuga is to do mantra meditation, to chant. Chanting is the only way in Kali Yuga. So Arjuna's constant remembrance of Krishna, his lotus feet, his instructions, that increased his devotion. He became more devoted to Krishna, and he was able to remove all the negative thoughts from his mind. Very, very important. You see, negative thoughts are like trash. No one likes to keep trash at home. As soon as our trash can is filled up, we immediately, seal that trash bag and we put it outside. No one likes to have trash. So these material desires that we have, they are like trash. They contaminate our mind and hearts. But when one starts performing devotional service, then these material desires, which are like trash, they vanish away. See? Now it may appear that, Arjuna had forgotten Krishna's instructions, the whole Bhagavad Gita that Krishna spoke on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. That was not the case. Arjuna, he was a pure devotee, so he had conquered his senses. He became the master of his senses, and he remained in that transcendental position all the time, even after Krishna's departure. You see? Why? Because he was always engaged in the mission of Krishna. What is it that Krishna wants? In the Bhagavad Gita, in the 18th chapter, Krishna tells us, give my knowledge to others. That person is most dear to me. You see? So when we do that, when we give this knowledge to others, we become eligible to go back to the spiritual world. You see? So Sutta Goswami, in the following verses, he says that the doubts of duality were cut off as far as Arjuna was concerned. He was free from the modes of material nature, he was in the transcendental position, and there was no chance of him becoming entangled in the cycle of birth and death. Why? Because he was free from the material form. You see? See, the first sign of ignorance is when we consider, I am this body. That is the first sign. You see? That is a misconception. Most people here only think of I, me, and mine. Everything about me, my family, my spouse, my children, my house, my possessions. It's all conditioning. Nothing belongs to us. We came empty handed and we are going to go empty handed. You see? So we need to remove this conditioning. First conditioning is that I am this body. I'm not this body. You see? So Arjuna, he could realize that because he was so devoted to him, he could realize that Krishna was present before him. Now one may say, how? Through his instructions, through Krishna's instructions. You see, the spiritual master, the guru, may not be present physically in front of us, but he's present through his instructions. So when one is fully self-realized, you see, then one can associate with the Supreme Lord. Then one can feel the presence of the Lord in the life, you see. And the answer is devotional service. And this devotional service starts with hearing and chanting. Now, when Yudhishthira Maharaj heard about disappearance of Krishna and disappearance of the whole Yadu dynasty, he decided, I want to go back to the spiritual world. That was what he thought of immediately. You see? So he turned his attention towards the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. If you remember, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has given us a formula how to go back to the spiritual world. He says, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvaha tyaktva deham punarjanma Neti mameti. So, Arjuna, if we don't want to come back into this material world, then we need to understand the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and his activities. You see, Kunti, she heard about, from Arjuna, she heard about Krishna's disappearance. So, what did she do? She immediately engaged herself in devotional service with full attention. Very important. Excuse me. Full attention is very important because bhakti is not casual that we do while driving or we chant while talking or while reading or while here. No, full attention means only chanting when we are chanting. You see, so she engaged in that devotional service with full attention. So Sutta Goswami, he continues that it was Krishna who caused all the yadus to give up their bodies and he relieved the burden of the earth. Like, he gives the example like picking out a thorn with a thorn. What a nice example, right? And the sages present there, they actually did not like Krishna removing the yadus from this earth. But Sutta Goswami assured them that Krishna actually removed the burden. He did not consider the yadus as a burden, but he wanted to remove the burden of the earth, which means reduce, just like in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. 640 million people died. That was a burden on the earth. They were all irreligious people. Now, one may say, but Yadus were not irreligious. They had come down for a special purpose. They had come down to help Krishna in his pastimes. And now that the pastimes were over, Krishna sent them back to their abode. Simple as that. So it's not that the Yadus going back to the spiritual world because it was a burden. No, that was Krishna's arrangement. So here, Sutta Goswami said that these yadus, they are eternal associates of Krishna. You see? And these yadus, they were actually the demigods. If you read verse number 34 of this chapter, you'll get more details about it. So what did Krishna do? He also removed himself from this earthly planet. He left. And as soon as Krishna left, Kali Yuga began. Kali Yuga started manifesting completely. People could be, Yudhishthira Maharaj could see that his citizens were getting influenced by this appearance of Kali Yuga. But those who are in knowledge, they do not get affected. You see, Yudhishthira Maharaj, he was in knowledge. So he could realize that there is influence of Kali Yuga. People had started cheating, they started fighting with each other, they started being dishonest, you see. But Srila Prabhupada says that those who are under the protection of Krishna, they don't have to fear. So now that Yudhishthira Maharaj heard Krishna's disappearance, he started preparing himself to leave home. And so he dressed accordingly. You see, Yudhishthira Maharaj was a great devotee of Krishna. You see, he wanted to be a perfect example as a king and also a perfect example how to retire timely. Very, very important. You see, as I had mentioned earlier, when I was working in the corporate world, there was a 92-year-old man doing two jobs. Why does the government say retire at 65? Because, of course, they don't know that the reason for early retirement is that's not actually early, that's quite late. But the reason is so that one can engage in spiritual activities. Because when we are working in the corporate world, we are so busy, we are spending 10 to 12 hours every day at work. So we don't really get much time to practice spirituality. So here, Yudhishthira Maharaj wanted to set an example how to retire timely. What did he do? He enthroned his grandson Parikshit Maharaj. And Parikshit Maharaj, he was very well trained and he was very qualified also. And the citizens also were trained by Yudhishthira Maharaj how to attain the highest goal of human life. They were already enlightened, they had good qualities, but the influence of Kali Yuga started penetrating into the kingdom. You see? Yudhishthira Maharaj, he made Krishna's grandson, Vajra, as the king in Mathura. And then he performed a Prajapatya sacrifice. He placed in himself the fire for quitting household life. It means he accepted the renounced order of life. He retired from, active administration of the kingdom, etc., etc. Why? Because he did not want to remain on the material platform always. This is what most people do in this material world. They get so attached to family, to country, society, friends, relatives, house, cars, possessions, money, everything. They don't want to give up anything. They don't want to contemplate on spiritual activities even after, what you call, even after the age of retirement. They don't want to do that. Why? Because they are so attached. You see? But having this human form of life, we need to plan. There has to be a plan for the life, right? How long can we go on working, working, working? We need to focus on spirituality also. Why? Because there's no guarantee how long we will live. But we make plans, 5-year plans, 10-year plans. I will do this in the next 5 years or next 10. But who knows how much time we have left to live? So it's better to change our consciousness. It's better now that we have this knowledge to put it into application, apply it so that we can achieve the perfection of life. You see, better to work. Yes, if we have to work to maintain the family, work, but work in Krishna consciousness, work in the consciousness of the Supreme Lord. This is important. And when possible, retire and then devote more time to spiritual activities. You see, important to understand, of course, we've heard this many times, that material family, material assets, relationships, etc., we cannot take with us when we leave this body. Yes, everything has to be left behind. So, while we are taking care of the family, we should try to progress spiritually also. Very, very important. And Krishna doesn't tell us in the Bhagavad Gita, give up your family, give up your job, give up your house, go to the forest. No. He says, while living in the family, do both material activities and spiritual activities simultaneously. But the focus should be on spiritual life, you see. Bhakti is not casual. Spirituality is not casual at all. Oh, when I have time, I will chant. When I have time, I will hear. No. We have to make, yes, we have a full-time job, but then we also have to have time for spiritual activities. So here Yudhishthira Maharaj Sutta Goswami is saying that he gave up his kingly garments, he gave up all the ornaments, he became completely disinterested and unattached. You see what happens? Attachment keeps us away from purification. Why do renounced people wear saffron clothes? It indicates freedom from material garments. All the decorations we put on our body, free from all that. Because people are very attached to possessions, right? So Yudhishthira Maharaj, what he did, he amalgamated sense organs to mind. That means he turned his mind towards Krishna. He prayed that his mind winds up all material activities and turn his full attention, full service towards Krishna. So that means mind into life, life into breathing, which means total existence into 5 elements, his body to death. As pure self became free from all material conceptions of life. That is what is called freedom. You see, he became free from material bondage. His mind was purified. How? By performing devotional service. You see? So, because of that, there was no more material body for him. You see, it is the pure soul that can go back to the spiritual world. Material body cannot go back to the spiritual world. So, when one is completely purified, completely qualified, then at the time of death, the person, the soul gets a spiritual body to go back to the spiritual world. You see? But one can come to that stage of, it is called Jivan Mukta stage. How? By Bhakti Yoga, even in this present material body, which means we can purify this material body, the mind, the senses, the whole body, the heart, everything. So Yudhishthira Maharaj, Sutta Goswami is saying, Yudhishthira Maharaj, he dressed himself in torn clothes, gave up all solid food. Oh, ho, ho, that is so difficult to give up, right? Many people, they live to eat. What is for breakfast? What is for lunch? What is for dinner? How about snacks? The whole consciousness is about feeding the body. You see? But he gave up solid food. He voluntarily became deaf and dumb, which means he pretended he cannot hear and he cannot speak. You see? And he did not depend on his brothers for anything. In other words, he became free of all external affairs. This is a stage, Prabhupada says, it's complete independence, purified stage of fearlessness. There is no more fear. Why? Because there's complete dependence on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then Yudhishthira Maharaj, he went towards north, treading path of forefathers. He wanted to devote himself in thinking about Krishna, and he constantly remembered Krishna within himself. Now the other Pandavas, the other 4 brothers, they observed that Kali Yuga had come and it had already affected the citizens. How? By irreligious practice. Yes. So they decided they will follow Yudhishthira Maharaj, their elder brother. All of them were sufficiently trained and they knew what is the goal of life. So they decided they want to render devotional service to Krishna completely. This is called retired life. You see, most people, they retire from their work, right, in the corporate world, but they still remain entangled, right? They have retired, but now they are entangled in taking care of grandchildren, children, and this and that. There is no time for mantra meditation. So these Pandavas, they decided that Krishna's lotus feet is their only shelter. So they meditated on Krishna's lotus feet without interruption. Very important word, interruption. How many times do we get interrupted while performing, spiritual activities, whether it is chanting, hearing, whatever it may be, right? But it has to be without very important, you see. Bhakti Yoga is a 24/7 process, not just on Sundays at 8 in the morning Eastern Time or on the weekends. No, chanting is for every day. We need to chant every day, not when we have time. No. So Sutta Goswami is saying that those who were pious in their previous life, they get the opportunity to hear about Krishna. Concentrating mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, which means chanting the holy names of the Lord with attention. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Sutta Goswami is continuing and he says, by pure consciousness, by constant devotional service, remembering Krishna constantly, they attained spiritual sky. That spiritual sky which is ruled over by Supreme Narayana, that's Lord Krishna. So one can attain that abode. How? Just by mantra meditation, right? Only chanting with full attention, no deviation, you see. Then we can attain the abode of Goloka Vrindavan, that's where Krishna lives, you see. This cannot be attained by materialistic way, right? Or if we are contaminated. No. Pandavas, they were free of all contamination. And so they went back to Goloka Vrindavan in the same body. Whatever body they had on the earth, they went back in that same body. Imagine, they were so pure. Now, Sutta Goswami says that Vidura, he left his body at Prabhas. He was totally absorbed in thinking about Krishna, and he returned to his planet, to his original post. Who was he? Yamaraj. So he went back to his position as Yamaraj. You see, the difference between Pandavas and Vidura is Pandavas, they are eternal associates of Krishna, right? And Vidura is one of the administrative demigods called Yamaraj. You see, people who do wrong, they are afraid of Yamaraj, but devotees of the Lord, they are completely fearless. Now, Yamaraj, Prabhupada says, is a friend to devotees, and he is fear personified for non-devotees. And demigods, who are they? They are also associates of Supreme Lord, but without the personal touch of Krishna. But direct associates, they are in constant touch with Krishna, like the Pandavas. Now, Draupadi and Subhadra, they saw their husbands leave. So they also got absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. And they both attained the same results as their husbands. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that we have to fly our plane alone. No one can help us at the time of death. We have to help our own selves. And that help can be provided on the ground before we die. But once we are in the sky at the time of death, no one can help us. We have to fly our own planes, you see. So, like the parents, the teachers, the elders, they should train the youngsters, you see, help them become pure devotees of Krishna, set a good example themselves, and then the youngsters can follow. The family is not for just sense enjoyment. Family is there, the parents are there, they are the gurus of their children to train them spiritually, you see. So, and also while setting a good example. It's not that the husband is, the father is smoking and telling the son, don't smoke. It's not going to work. The father has to set an example to teach the children. So, Sutta Goswami says, even Srila Prabhupada mentions in his purport, that Draupadi, she had 5 husbands, right? No one asked her to join them. They all left, even though it was their responsibility to deliver the wife, right? That's the responsibility of the husband, to deliver the wife. The responsibility of the father is to deliver the children. But no one asked her to join. So she had to take care of herself. She had to train herself. She had to train her mind. She had to concentrate on her mind on Krishna. The thing is, the wives, Prabhupada says, they get the same result as their husbands without changing bodies. This is in case of Pandavas, Draupadi, and Subhadra. Even Subhadra and Draupadi, they went back to the spiritual world without changing their body. But as far as we are concerned, at the time of death, we will have to give up our material body. If we have qualified ourselves to go back to the spiritual world, then we get the spiritual body and go back to the spiritual world. See, this, by learning this example of Pandavas, Draupadi, and Subhadra, we can understand how we have to overcome grief, how we have to regain spiritual clarity. For that, we need training and guidance. What do we do on Sunday mornings hearing Srimad Bhagavatam? We are getting knowledge and we are training ourselves how to focus our mind on Krishna. You see, only when we do that regularly on a daily basis, we regularly chant every day the recommended number of rounds, then and only then we can train our mind to focus on Krishna. Then, once we come to that stage, that transcendental stage, then we can overcome grief, right? And then we can regain our spiritual clarity. So, Sutta Goswami is saying that the subject matter of Pandava's departure is meant to help us achieve the ultimate goal of life, which is auspicious, which is perfectly pure. So he says that anyone who hears with devotional faith, they gain devotional service to the Supreme Lord, which is the highest perfection of life. Which means we have to hear Srimad Bhagavatam with devotional attitude and with full attention. Now, if we are not performing mantra meditation on a daily basis, we will not be able to hear Bhagavatam attentively. It will not be possible. So we need to start with mantra meditation. Those of us who are chanting every day, we need to improve our chanting. Chant with more attention, with complete focus, so that we can get the full benefit. So the summary of this chapter is Arjuna returns from Dwarka. He is grief-stricken. He informs Yudhishthira Maharaj about departure of Krishna, departure of the Yadus, and he starts remembering the activities of Krishna, and he feels that his power is completely lost because Krishna is gone. And then he starts remembering Krishna's pastimes, starts remembering what Krishna taught him, right? The whole Bhagavad Gita. And this is how he overcomes grief and he regains spiritual clarity. He understands that now is the time to go back to the spiritual world. You see, Yudhishthira, he understood Kali Yuga is approaching. And so what did he do? He gave his kingdom to grandson Parikshit Maharaj, and all the Pandavas, they began their final journey for self-realization. So the goal should be to attain spiritual success. When we become successful spiritually, then and only then we'll find solace even in critical times. Important thing to remember is when we start on the path of spirituality, we should not think miseries will disappear. There will be no more miseries. There will be no more grief. No. Based on our past karma, we will get happiness and distress according to our past actions. But when we are on this path of spirituality, we will not feel grief stricken in critical times, and we will not become very depressed, when there are mental agonies. No, we will not. Why? Because we are performing mantra meditation on a daily basis. Very, very important. We need to chant every day. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. This is how we will be able to face all the critical times. So this is how this chapter ends, where the Pandavas, they retire timely and they go back to the spiritual abode in their same material bodies, which means their material body was completely purified and completely eligible to go back to the spiritual world. So I'm going to end the class now. And before I end, I wanted to inform you all that since I will be traveling, so there will be no class next 2 weeks, no class for next 2 weeks. And then we will meet after 3 weeks. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna.